NCIS Los Angeles is one of the longest-running TV drama series of all time, and it doesn't seem like it's going to stop anytime soon. With season 14 on its way this fall, many are speculating about what it might entail. A major theory is that we would get to see a time jump, and we'll be discussing that and much more in today's video. So what's the theory? The probability of audiences seeing a major time jump in the coming season of NCIS LA is actually pretty high. It just makes a lot of sense considering how the last season ended. When season 13 wrapped up, most of the huge loose ends were tied up, and characters were left in somewhat comfortable positions. Because of that, the writers might feel like there's space for the characters' lives to progress off screen. For example, they could have Callan and Anna move further into their relationship and even consider getting married, and we could see Kenzie and Deeks more settled in their lives as parents. There's a lot of potential for the latter couple especially, since balancing work and personal lives makes for compelling character drama. The couple have a tough life ahead of them considering the demands of a law enforcement job, and the job they've opted for as parents. Raising Rosa could prove to be a difficult challenge since so much of their lives revolve around dealing with crime. We've seen how having parents involved in such things can affect a child in other series, and it could introduce fresh drama into the show. Of course, we would never want anything terrible to happen to Rosa, but the nature of Deeks and Kenzie's job could mean that she stumbles upon some nasty things. Now, what else could time bring? A time jump could make a lot of room for writers to reintroduce old plot lines and characters. Take Hetty Lang, for example. She's been away from the show for 3 seasons already, so it might be the perfect time to bring her back. She was a huge part of why we love the show, and it would be great to see her again. However, there's definitely other characters and plots that shows need to revisit, like Kessler, who is currently on the loose. Kessler was put behind bars by Kenzie for a number of offenses, including human trafficking of minors. In season 13, though, we found out that he was given a presidential pardon and was released. Before he left the prison cell, though, he vowed to hunt down Kenzie, abuse her, and then kill her. It was terrifying back then, and it remains on everyone's minds even now. There's no guarantee that we'll be seeing him anytime soon, but considering Kenzie and Deeks now have Rosa to look after, it might be a good time to reintroduce her. Again, we'd hate to see her come to harm, but she would serve as a pretty big card to play for Kessler, if he could get his hands on her. What better way to get revenge on Kenzie than to destroy her family? Let's talk about where season 13 left off. I need a quick rundown of what's been going on in the show. We'll be going over some of the major plot lines without spoiling too much. A lot happens in this final episode, the least of which is Deeks and Kenzie getting their confirmation of Rosa's adoption. The primary conflict here was a casino robbery that was so intense that an armed ultralight tactical vehicle had to be called into the scene. But we also get some personal character drama that's been boiling up for a while. One character that's dealing with some deeply rooted emotional trauma is Raymond Lewis, who sees a random woman on the street and believes her to be his dead wife. It's a moment that speaks to the deterioration of Lewis's mental state, and it offers up some more insight into what we might be seeing of him in the coming season. Losing a loved one is a painful experience for anyone, and mourning can lead to a lot of different responses. Lewis used to be a pretty lovable character, but in season 14, we could see him fall to a point where he's a shadow of that original character. It's not something we'd wish on anyone, but it would make more for interesting drama, and that's what NCIS is all about. There were a lot of other developments in the episode, but it's better if you see them for yourself. The end gives us shots of the crew celebrating their success, and shows like this generally don't end on such a happy note. It suggests that what was coming up next will be a lot more intense, and having things in store that audiences will just not be ready for. We're sure that when season 14 airs, we'll all be shocked by the plot lines that follow. Time for some other news. First up, Olsen dealt a career blow. Eric Christian Olsen plays the character of Marty Deeks on CBS's NCIS LA, and he's recently been dealt a pretty big blow by the television network Hulu. Olsen worked on a series called Woke on the network that has had 2 seasons, while simultaneously playing Deeks on NCIS LA. Unfortunately, though, the series just got canceled. The series followed New Girl's Lamore Morris as a cartoonist named Keith that soon begins to have conversations with inanimate objects following a traumatic experience of racial profiling by law enforcement. The series had a lot of promise as it took a surreal approach to dealing with a lot of contemporary social issues. The series was loosely based on the life of American cartoonist Keith Knight, who also co-created and served as a writer. It really felt like Olsen had something special here, but we guessed ratings just weren't high enough to warrant the network keeping it on. Despite the show's cancellation, though, fans are still excited to see what Morris and the creators of the show are gonna put out next. Hopefully, Olsen continues his work as a producer and eventually strikes gold. Up next, NCIS crossover teased. In a recent Instagram snap, Sean Murray, who plays Timothy McGee in NCIS, hyped fans up as it showed both him and LL Cool J hanging out. Since Cool J plays Sam Hanna in NCIS Los Angeles, the snap sparked a ton of speculation as to whether or not we might be seeing the two in another crossover of the 2 shows. The NCIS show is in its 20th season, so it makes sense that the network would want to do something special for it. Whether or not the snap was meant to tease the crossover is irrelevant at this point, since fan excitement is so high that the network might just want to play into it. One thing is for sure, if they do decide to produce a crossover episode, it might be one of the highest rated episodes the franchise has ever seen. Now, NCIS fans rally for Valderrama. If you're a fan of that 70s show, you probably know Wilmer Valderrama. Valderrama played the lovable Fez in that series, and has also played Agent Nick Torres in NCIS since 2016. 2014. Ever since he started the latter role, he's built up a considerable fan base. Now, those fans are rallying to show him their support as the actor and his family go through some tough times. In the middle of June, Valderrama reported via Instagram that his father had suffered a major heart attack and had to be committed to the hospital where he is currently recovering. He opened up about what he was feeling in those difficult moments. It was Father's Day, and it was a day that Valderrama truly realized how important his father was to him. As anyone would, he wondered if he'd done enough, if he'd loved his father enough, considering that all he'd done for him. After his father began recovering, he wanted to share how thankful he was that he got more time to spend with him, the way that he wanted to on his way to the hospital. It's rare that people get second chances to show family how much they love them, and it's clear that Valderrama is extremely grateful to have that chance himself. Finally, NCIS's Perrette reveals terrifying encounter. Polly Perrette played the much-loved character of Abby Shudo in NCIS, but left the series in 2018 after suffering a lot of physical and emotional trauma. She's generally been very private when it came to her personal life, but recently she opened up about a harrowing experience she had in her Hollywood neighborhood. The revelation came via her Twitter account, detailing the fact that a prowler had been stalking her property multiple times in mid-June. Luckily though, her neighbors came by in full force to keep her safe. One person in her neighborhood wasn't that lucky though, and was robbed 3 times around the time the actress had her own experience. Polly also scoured footage from her 16 cameras in order to get information on the prowler for the purposes of helping out her neighbors. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think there's going to be a time jump when season 14 finally rolls around? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one!